This is Contrast. We're here on Xbox Series X, and I'm very happy that I finally have an excuse to showcase this game and present what it has to offer. So this is, I guess now, fully first party. This is a Compulsion Games title, and since it's just available on Game Pass now, I believe the case is due to the fact that it's now published by them, so that would mean it's, kind of published by Xbox from, that point. So, this is 1920s Dreamscape. It is a film noir-inspired reality where you play as Dawn, the imaginary friend of a little girl named Didi, as you are seeing here. And it's just like a really sort of charming little kind of indie-esque experience. It's not terribly long. I have all the achievements in the game. It didn't take me a whole long time to actually get that. There's collectibles to find, stuff like that. But it actually is a really sort of, again, quite charming and neat and very different sort of game that uses platforming with light and with character. And it's quite neat. Again, it's based around puzzles. You can go through this fast. Sometimes it takes longer. And, it's actually quite an enjoyable experience. We're going to be showing off that, how you, shift into the shadows, and it's just, it's really neat in that regard. And it's got some lovely music to it. It's got an interesting little story to it. And I would, I'd actually kind of like to see them continue this, if that makes sense. I think that would be really interesting. So it looks like we're getting, I believe it's probably sub 1080. It's quite, it's jagged around some of the edges and stuff. Not too noticeable, but something that's present a little bit. There is auto Hdr support. It seems like we're getting 60 FPS.
I really wish you had been at my birthday. Daddy missed my birthday.
So it's a bit of a mature story. There are some, darker things. There's 2D puzzles, 3D puzzles. And you're just kind of exploring this environment, again, sort of with this young girl, you're this companion. It's quite interesting, if that makes... It's just a very intriguing game, and I don't think it's too difficult for you to actually get, again, all the achievements and stuff, and I think that's kind of nice. So you just get to enjoy a really lovely story, meet these interesting characters, and enjoy kind of a good time. It really is, it's more focused, it's more linear, but I think this one is definitely a worthwhile little indie title. It's something that is quite different. It has different types of gameplay challenges, different types of story elements, and it's kind of a little deep, kind of a little emotional. I quite like this one. That's again why I was kind of I'm really happy I actually get to have a real excuse to showcase this one, because otherwise, some folks might not be as intrigued if it wasn't going to be, because this will be on Game Pass forever, right? This is, not first party, right? So it's part of the lineup of Xbox games, which is kind of cool. Really, that forced me out of it? Okay, we gotta go around here. But it's just it's got a really neat use of light and shadow and, exploration and discovery, and I don't know, I find it really quite intriguing because it's got all this stuff to it. And then again, this really visually quite neat experience with that noir style. It's kind of full of intrigue and mystery and great music and adult themes, and there's something deeper going on that I think is really quite neat. And it all loads faster, obviously, with the next gen consoles, so that's really great. They went to improve the controls and whatnot, but I mean, this was again when it released, because this was a smaller indie title, and then it was something that we kind of got this is basically a re-release of it from years back at this point. I actually got, through Xbox, they actually got me access to this game back then. So it's been so long, actually, which is kind of amazing to think of. you know, the fact that I'm revisiting this game, I was like, okay. As soon as I saw the announcement that it was being added to Game Pass, I was like, okay, yep, let's grab it, let's jump in. And yeah, it's just kind of like a really neat sort of game, and I hope I've kind of sparked your interest in it. You know, that you might find it to be an intriguing experience, something a little bit different. You know, something with a little bit of a sense of wonder, which is quite fun to see. And then a little bit of a touching story that you might not necessarily expect. Like, you know, I keep going back to that, but seriously, it's just the dynamics of these characters and what else is kind of going on and why this, like, shadowy character is present here. I think that,
we can't play in the dark.
You know, kind of really adds a lot to it. Aim the spotlights at the band. Oh, you know, we've got to do that. So they also use music quite effectively, you know, and it was kind of like a small effort almost, because apparently this is like a 8-person indie studio in Montreal put this together initially. You know, obviously Compulsion is a very different, you know, group at this point, right? Like they've grown considerably for like We Happy Few, and this is almost like a little bit of the origins, I would say, behind that. It's really, really neat. I could see why this was so intriguing, and it's also, if that matters at all, I guess some Canadian media funds kind of went into this too, so it's nice to see that, you know, for me being from Canada, that we get a local, you know, kind of little games like this that are really cool. I like to see that being made here, so I always appreciate that. And again, just gathering some of the collectibles. I really don't think you should have any trouble kind of getting the collectibles and doing the stuff in the game. And I know this seems simple, it does gain a little bit more complexity as you go through it, but it's mostly trying to teach you the concepts of the game, like most, because it acts as like a bit of a tutorial, right? Like that's kind of what they're doing here. So yeah, dynamic shadows are present here as well, which makes sense because this game kind of needs that sort of thing. So we're just going to skip ahead again, just to get to more gameplay, because we want to show off as much as possible. And you're also moving through this kind of environment that you get a little bit of freedom. Like I mentioned, it's quite linear, but, you know, there's freedom there too.
Johnny, we had an agreement.
An agreement.
I never wanted to leave. You kicked me out.
You want money from me, Johnny? Because I'm ducking the landlord.
I don't need a handout, babe. Look at this suit.
You work in another one of your famous deals?
This one's big, Cat.
Oh, sure it is. Till it blows up like last time and the time before that.
Not this time, babe. I'm gonna make it all up to you.
I gotta get back on stage.
Then meet me after. I'm staying at the Excelsior.
But you think you're just gonna jitterbug your way back into our lives with a lot of sweet talk?
It's gonna be better this time, babe. You're gonna see how much better it can be. Room 529, kiddo.
So even the way they tell the story is, to me, quite interesting.
Where is he going? I need to talk.
Because it's almost like a hidden perspective, you know? It's a lot of shadow watching, shadow visiting. It's very neat. It really is. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, this is a little too simple for me. But sometimes it's nice to have, you know, a little experience like this. Something that isn't wildly insane. Something that's a little, at times, a little bit more easier going. I think this one kind of hits the mark as being a fun little journey you can have, something you can finish, something you can have enjoyed, something that, you know, is something that you play and, you know, you kind of do it. Like, I would say it's pretty much one and done, you know? I don't know if you'll necessarily have a high desire to, you know, want to replay the game, if that makes sense. Like, you finish it, you'll enjoy the story, and then you'll kind of move on, is my biggest thought on this one. But you'll still have had a great time with it. You'll still be like, oh, that was kind of cool. This is a neat timepiece for its era. It's an intriguing offering. I don't really have too many other details, you know, to kind of where are you going? You know, to kind of mention, but that is basically Contrast running on the Series X. It's something that I kind of hope you might want to jump into and give a chance to. It's got some intriguing stuff to it that I think you can have a lot of fun with.
And it's top secret, which is why my agent has it safely locked in his office upstairs.
I just want to show it to my investors. They want to get to know you better.
Mr.